I just want to start by saying that this is a huge honor for me to get the chance to come and speak today and tell you guys about Student Eagles. This is something I'm really passionate about. It's something I really care deeply about, getting the young people more involved in politics. Yeah. And so I'm really excited to tell you guys about Student Eagles and what our vision is for the future and what our mission is. And so before I dive in, I want to just quickly outline the 3 things that I hope to cover during my time today. So first of all, I want to tell you guys what Student Eagles is, what we stand for, and what are some of the things that we've accomplished so far. And then secondly, I want to really tell you guys about what our vision is for the future, really cast the vision, because we've got a lot of big plans for 2026 and beyond. So I want to let you guys know what those are. And then finally, I want to explain how we're going to practically implement that vision. What are some of the things that we're doing right now to accomplish those goals? So those are the 3 things that I hope to cover today. And from the outset, I want to address a question that some people might have. Some of you might be thinking, why Student Eagles? Why should young people specifically join Student Eagles? What makes Student Eagles different? What's going to set you guys apart? And so I actually do have an answer to that question, but I'm thinking I'm going to save it for the end because it really ties into what our vision is and how we're going to achieve our goals. So I'm going to save that for the end. But first and foremost, what is Student Eagles? Student Eagles is basically the youth arm or the youth branch of Eagle Forum, and we exist to encourage and empower young people to make a difference in their own communities. And so that's what we do. And just to give you guys a little bit of an idea of what Student Eagles does, I'm going to briefly tell you the story of how our Coleman Student Eagle group got started and how we organized the Run for Life in Coleman County. So a few years ago is when I got involved. I wanted to get more involved in politics and wanted to start making a difference. And so I got together with some of my friends who also wanted to get involved in politics and who cared about these issues. And so we got together and started this student group in Coleman, Student Eagles group in Coleman. And so from the beginning, when we started out, it was really just like 5 to 10 students who were coming to our meetings. So we started out pretty small, but we wanted to make a difference. And so, we're sitting around talking about what we can do, how we can start having an impact. And the idea that we come up with is to organize this Run for Life fundraiser to support the local pregnancy center in Coleman. So we're talking about it and we're thinking we can host a 5K race and a jogger's mile and have food trucks and live music, and it'll be this fun community event. That was the idea. And so that was a lot to take on. That was pretty ambitious on our part, like I said, with just 5 to 10 students who were coming to our meetings. But we decided to go ahead and do this Run for Life. And so all of our students worked really hard during the summer to organize this event. And we had a lot of help, and we were able to put on this event, and it ended up being a huge success. And we were able to raise over $10,000 for the local pregnancy center in Coleman when we did the Run for Life this past year. We actually did it this year and then the year before as well. So we've done it 2 years now. So that was a really cool experience, being able to host this Run for Life event and support the local pregnancy center in Coleman. And I learned a lot from that experience. And one of the things I learned is that anybody can make a difference. So, we started out, again, like I said, 5 to 10 students. It was a pretty small group, but we worked really hard. And we went around to businesses and churches all across Coleman County, asking them to support us and asking them to come out to the Run for Life. And so we were able to organize this event just with our small student group in Coleman. And by the way, I should tell you guys, since then our group has grown a lot. We now have about 40 students, and a lot of them are here today. So if you want to talk to some of the Student Eagles, a bunch of them are sitting back there. I know you guys probably all know who Andrew is now, because he got mentioned when Dr. Frank was talking. So if you want to talk to Andrew, who's going to be running for governor pretty soon, then you can talk to him. He's going to be the next governor of Alabama. So there's a lot of students back there, and they'd love to tell you more about Student Eagles. And so I got sidetracked a little bit. But going back to the Run for Life, we were able to organize this event in Coleman. And like I said, I really learned that anybody can make a difference. And this is what we're telling students. You don't have to be a certain type of person to make a difference. Anybody can have an impact. So it doesn't matter who you are, how old you are, where you come from. You can start making a difference right now. And it starts with the little things that you do each and every day, the conversations that you have with people on a daily basis. Those things really matter. And you can have an impact even in small ways. And I like to say that making a difference doesn't start with changing the world. Making a difference starts with changing your own life. And that's really important. When you start by just focusing on how you live your own life and how you treat the people around you, and really focusing on making a difference at the local level, that's how you ultimately bring about national change. And so I think that's really important. That's something that we're excited about. And so that's a little bit about Student Eagles, and hopefully gives you an idea of what we stand for. And then secondly, I want to talk about what our vision is moving forward. So really there's two things that we're trying to do right now, if I had to sum it up. One of them, like I said, is encouraging and empowering students to rise up and make a difference in their communities, and we want to provide them with the resources that they need to have an impact at the local level. So whether it's organizing their own Run for Life fundraiser, whatever it is they want to do, whatever issue that they care about, whether it's advocating for good bills in the legislature like we're doing today, whatever it might be, we want to provide them with the resources and the training that they need to start having an impact. And so that's one side of the vision. And then the other side of the vision is more educational. We want to educate students about, as I like to say, the importance of biblical values in society and the principles of the American founding in government. So those are the two things that we're focusing on. And so you might say, well, why do I choose these two things? Well, biblical values in society, those are important because I believe that our nation was founded on those biblical values. And really, Western civilization was built on these principles that we get from the Bible. And if your society is not rooted in those eternal values and those eternal principles, then your civilization will not last long. Your society, your civilization has to be rooted in the eternal. So that's why biblical values are important. And then the principles of the American founding, I believe that we've really shifted away from those things over the course of time. And I think it's a time for our nation to return to those founding principles, the original intent of the founding fathers. And a lot of that, for example, I would say the idea that government should be limited, the idea that individuals should take responsibility for their own lives and not simply rely on government to solve all of your problems. These are all things that were central to the founders' worldview. And like I said, over the course of time, really in recent decades especially, we've kind of moved away from those ideas. So I think it's time to educate people about the importance of those principles and really return to the founding ideals of our nation. So that's our vision. That's, if you will, the big picture perspective of what we're trying to do right now. And then thirdly, I want to get more into the details. What are we doing right now to practically implement that vision? So there's a lot of things I could tell you guys about, but for time's sake, I'm going to narrow it down to the top things that we're focusing on with Student Eagles right now. So one of the things that we're doing, and Becky mentioned this, we're going to be traveling all across the state of Alabama and meeting with students at high schools, colleges. The age range, by the way, for Student Eagles is middle school through college. So really any young person who wants to get involved and start making a difference, they can join Student Eagles, and they can start their own Student Eagle action group in their own community. And so then if they get together with a few of their friends and want to start making a difference, then we'll send them an action pack, which will include some Student Eagle swag and some signs and a banner to help them get started, so then they can table in their own local community and recruit new members to join their group. And so we'll provide them with a lot of resources so that they can start making a difference. And so so we want to start Student Eagle action groups all across the state. So that's really exciting. And then another thing that we're doing, which Becky also mentioned, is we're running a major social media campaign right now. So we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube. If you guys want to check us out, you can see we do a lot of fun videos and a lot of really engaging content on social media. So that's really fun. And then like Becky mentioned, we recently launched a podcast, and I wanted to tell you guys about it because our recent guest, some of you might actually know who this is. John Wall, chairman of the Alabama Republican Party. Maybe a few of the people in this room know who he is. He was our recent guest on the podcast, and so we had a really good conversation with him. Some of you might not know, but he actually held a Guinness World Record, and so it's actually a really interesting story about how he won that record. But I'm not going to tell you guys what that record was for, because if you want to learn that, you got to go listen to the full episode on YouTube. So you got to go check out the podcast on YouTube if you want to learn about that. But you can go to Alabama Student Eagles podcast. That's our YouTube channel. And so we're doing social media. We're doing the podcast. We're going to be launching a Student Eagles website, which is really exciting. And then the other big thing I wanted to tell you guys about is that we're going to be hosting a statewide student leadership conference in the spring. And so this is going to be a multiple day event that students from all across the state can come to get leadership training and debate training, and to really learn how they can make an impact and how they can get more involved in politics and how they can start making a difference. So we're really excited about that, and we'd love to have y'all's support in organizing and raising money for this student conference that's going to be in the spring. So we're really excited about that, and we'll have a lot of updates on that in the near future. So that's a little bit about how we're achieving our goals and how we're reaching more students across the state of Alabama. And this leads me to my last point, which, if you remember, I raised at the beginning the question of what's going to make Student Eagles different? What's going to set us apart? So here's what my answer is. I believe that what we need to focus on with Student Eagles is action. That needs to be our primary focus. Actually, going out into the community and making a difference and taking action and taking on leadership roles. Because a lot of people get together and talk about these issues, but they don't actually do anything about it. And so our mission with Student Eagles is going to be to actually do something about it. We want to encourage our students to take action and make a real difference. And I really believe that with a lot of hard work, we can build a movement of young conservatives all across the state of Alabama who will fight for truth, biblical values, and the principles that made America the greatest nation in the history of the world. Thank you all.